Well, hello internet, here we are. Welcome to, another vlog that we have. In front of us here we have another road trip in the works. This one here is not going to be nowhere near as long in terms of driving as the last one, but it's going to be longer in duration as in terms of days. We got ourselves a beautiful spring day ahead of us here. We're doing some road trip preparation, just like I did for the last road trip. I have a list of things that I need to do, and rather than running around like a goof and trying to get them all done at once, I'm gonna do a handful of them every day over the next week and a half or so, however long it takes. So I guess welcome to this vlog, and let's get going. Well, hello internet, here we are. The dreaded time of the month, or however it works out, where a guy has to put fuel in his 8-cylinder truck. Yeah, I know. I should have something smaller. I should have something more fuel efficient, save the environment, drive an electric vehicle, whatever. But at the same time, this 8-cylinder engine really is not that bad on fuel. I've had 6-cylinder engines that are worse, and I've had 4-cylinder engines that were completely useless. So for my stage of life where I am right now, this so-called gas guzzling big brute of an 8-cylinder engine is actually quite fine. Gas is at $1.61 a liter, which is one of the highest I've seen it for quite a while now. There's another round of carbon tax coming in April 1st, so that's going to drive it even higher, and it's kind of frustrating, this carbon tax crap. I don't know when it's going to end. It just makes things rougher and tougher for people on a fixed income, makes it harder for businesses to survive, and actually stops businesses from wanting to open up in your province because of the carbon tax. I'm not sure how it is in other parts of Canada, but I know in Alberta we've lost businesses because of this ridiculous carbon tax, and it doesn't really seem to be doing anything except lining the pockets of politicians. But I guess enough for this little political rant or speech. Got the truck kind of sort of filled up. Used my last $100 and the tank's not even full, so that's just wonderful. So I'm hoping I have enough fuel to last the, until my big road trip in about another week and a half or so. I should have enough fuel to last that. I don't plan on driving around much, and again, this truck's not that hard on fuel. I guess it is what it is. So let's get going and rolling and get to our next stop. Well, hello internets, here we are. Just went through the post office. I got the normal, handful of junk mail. Once again, flyers and all that stuff that I really don't want, even though I've told them not to. And still no Princess Auto flyer, even though I've told them to. And even though I'm actually subscribed twice to Princess Auto. So realistically, I actually should get 2 flyers, but I don't get either. Isn't that wonderful, hey? And it's a little bit of a chilly day today, but I guess it's not as bad as what it could be, considering it is that transition between winter and spring. At least it's not minus 45, you know, minus 12 or so. I can handle that, I guess. But gonna get going and rolling, get on with the list to get day 1 accomplished and done, and move on to the next day, and pretty soon it'll be ready for the big spring 2025 road trip. So once again, let's get at her. Well, just made her through the Dollarama and got 2 great big bags of goodies. That's one of the things about Dollarama, kinda, sorta, maybe not quite as good as it once was, but you can spend quite a bit, or you can get quite a bit of stuff for less than what you would anywhere else. And I was pretty good this time around, stayed away from the chips and some of that snacky stuff that I used to like very, very much. But I picked up my stuff to get me on through, some of the stuff that I can go buy lesser quality or different from what I normally would have bought at one time. Picked up a couple items for the upcoming road trip, as well as a couple things to drink, just because I feel that I need a little treat once in a while. The Dollarama store is not super big, but it's enough of an outing for a person. They start to feel it after a bit. But I guess it'll be what it is, so we got the bags all loaded up, and you guessed her, let's keep on going and rolling. Well, hello internets, here we are. Well, drove all the way across town, stopped here at the Shoppers Drug Mart. I don't get my prescriptions from here anymore, but I still do like some of their products, and you can buy the same products at a grocery store. However, I am not buying groceries once again this month, so I have no need to go to the grocery store, so I come here to get one or two things and escape the big lineups and crowds at the grocery store. Isn't it funny how we drive all over the place for multiple things when a lot of the times we could get most of what we need within one or two stops. I guess that's kind of the privilege or blessing of having your own vehicle and such. A person can go multiple stops without having to take a taxi or if equipped public transit or whatever that may be in your local town. But I got a few more stops I want to do. Going to keep on going and rolling and get my list done, so let's get at her. Well, hello internets, here we are. Just finished walking through the Walmart, picked up some goodies. I needed some, personal items, as you want to call her, and it's time for me to pick up my regular re-up of blades for my razor, and, grump and complain about the cost of blades and all that stuff, but I guess that's the way it goes. I have become accustomed to certain products and certain brand names and certain things, and maybe it's just imaginary, but when I go away from them brand names, sometimes the quality is different and the taste is different or texture is different, and so I tend to gravitate back towards what I know, mainly because I don't like wasting money, and again, I've been used to certain things. Well, the Walmart store was the Walmart store. One of the bonuses of the store being huge like it is then it ends up being not really busy in there, even if the parking lot looks full, because it's just so large. But you know where things are, get in, get out before things get too crazy, and then away we go. So yeah, you guessed her, let's get rolling. Well, hello internets. Here we are, north end of town. Just stopped in a business that I have never been in before. At least to my recognition, at least on my personal level anyway. I might have done deliveries here, but not on personal needs anyways. I wanted an estimate for some services for an item that I was thinking about purchasing. And they just threw out a flat number. And I don't know if that flat number was really legit or if it was just, you know, the guy needs $1,500 in his pocket to go party this weekend or whatever it was. But it seems to be a little bit high. But at the same time, you know, there is labor and all that good stuff. I was a little bit taken back by their mannerisms and their abruptness of everything. It's like I must have disturbed them from whatever the activities they were doing in the back or whatever. They didn't seem to be working, didn't seem to be dirty, didn't have coveralls on, so I'm not sure what they were doing away from the front desk anyway. I wonder if I can save some of that labor by doing some of the sanding, disassembly, and reassembly myself. With the summer months coming up here, it's going to be warm. A guy should be able to do that. I do have some tools, of course. I do have an electric sander. I don't have my air random orbital sander anymore, but I guess I could pick one up once again. I could hand sand it, but it would be a little bit of a chore for my hands to hand sand it. But if it saves, you know, $600-700, I guess it would be worth it. But I guess, you know, it's kind of one of those things to reevaluate. Do I want to put out the expense? Do I want to just settle for what I have, stay the course, do the modifications to the one that I have, and well, it is what it is, right? The choice was made years ago, and this is the reality and what I have to now live with and ride it out. I do have one more stop to go, and then it's probably will be time to, well, head her on home. So it's been a good outing so far. Let's get going and rolling and get this, well, road trip preparation day one over with.